Hey, welcome back to the Scrap Forge. I'm Jody, and this is my first episode, Broken Universe, Legends and Lore. And this is going to be the episodes where I talk about the lore of the story I'm building for the Broken Universe and give you a little bit a more in-depth, detailed look at the build and all the things on it. And so I'm starting with my logo ship, my flagship, the ship that started it all, the Iron Mother. I knew I wanted to make a giant Studio Ghibli style ship with a bunch of guns, big battleship type guns. And it took me like 4 or 5 months to build this thing and to get all the parts and figure it out. I started to create a story. Like, this ship has been divided into clans and segments, and there's a whole hierarchy on the ship, and there's a cult on this ship, and there's all these kind of things with people that have money and people that are poor. And this ship is supposed to be like a city-sized ship. I mean, like, huge. Obviously, I didn't know how to build the scale to do that correctly. But like these type of guns are hold like a town's worth of people. Like 2,000 or 3,000 people would be in this gun. And this top gun would be like a clan of like 100 people. And the smaller guns, families. And so that's how I kind of wanted it to be, and we have different sections like the agricultural and the munitions and the engine and the power and all the things, and the water systems and the reservoirs, like, almost like a small ocean reservoir. So that's it. So I'm going to keep this video going. I'm going to do a lot closer shots. I'm going to add in some cool AI images I've generated, and I can put this ship in space and fight with it. I can show inside chambers of it, and let's have a good first episode of Broken Universe, Legends and Lore, because this ship is legendary. You just don't know it yet. Okay, there she is. That is the Iron Mother, her avatar, her aura core there blazing in her chest. She's the avatar and the ship. They're both, and that's going to be kind of the theme with the god ships, is that they can create an avatar, or they have an avatar. They can move around the ship and create and do things, but also interact with humans and other creatures and the children of God. Because on these ships, the creator who makes these ships in this universe sends them out to fight evil, to fight darkness from outer darkness, another name for the void. But and on these ships, he puts one of his children, and it's the last two children, a son and daughter of God, Auric and Opal, and they're on these god ships, and the god ships are sent out in pairs. The Iron Mother was the Crucible, is still the Crucible, the Iron Mother, and the Hammer, her husband. And Opal was on the Hammer, and Auric, his son, was on the Iron Mother. And in this story I've come up with, as I spend months building this thing and thinking about it, I thought it'd be really cool to just what happened on the ship. Where is it at now? It's centuries after all this, but she's in shut down modes, barely surviving, flying through the dark outer reaches of the galaxy, being betrayed by the Hammer and Opal, and her having to fight and destroy her husband, and as they destroyed her captain, her god, Auric. And so that's kind of it's a tragic story, but it's also one of redemption. So the god ships are gold and gleaming when they're made, and now this is centuries later, fighting these creatures from the void, these dark entities that just bring darkness and evil and despair. And so kind of that final battle, it wasn't that darkness won, but neither did good. And so there's kind of like been a dark ages since the Iron Mother left the center of the galaxy, thinking that her daughter was murdered. From her and the Hammer, her aura core of her daughter was in the creation chamber and was attempted to be killed by Opal, who was falling victim to pride into the darkness from the void, and corrupted the Hammer. So that's kind of the story, and I'll tell the whole story later. If anyone likes this, if they don't like it, and they don't like where it's going, then I'll just do cool builds, and I don't have to do this. I just think it's cool, and I think it's cool to have a world and a purpose. So the Iron Mother is a tragic story, but one where the redemption is coming. And I want to share that in the creatures I build and the things that I come up with. And so, right now, like I said, people are living kind of a dystopian style life on the ship, and it's been kind of divided into factions and clans and infighting and trying to fight over resources and keep going. And the Iron Mother's basically been shut down for a century or so, and her helpers and kind of took over and formed the cult of the Ash Choir and kind of rule and all these things happening. But as her daughter Oricor has sparked back alive, as she's kind of wandered close to the center of the galaxy, which she had never done before, and now she's realizing that if her daughter is still clinging to life, then the hammer must also be alive. And so I wrote a little script. I think let me just read this for this episode 1. Let me read this script and see if you guys kind of like this, because this can be kind of how I do these the legends and lore, with a little bit of backstory, looking at the builds, and with a little bit of a story more scripted. If not, like I said, I'll need lots of comments on this video for you guys to tell me what you want, because this is kind of different. I'm not really building anything. It's just showing something I already built and then coming up with the lore. So here we go. So this is the first Broken Universe Legends and Lore. Oh, look at that cool warehouse inside the ship where they build other ships. That's part of these god ships can create, and so it's really cool. Okay, episode 1. After centuries adrift in this starless void, the Crucible stirs once more. They call her the Iron Mother, a god ship forged for war, yet long turned into a wandering ark. For ages, she carried the last sparks of civilization within her endless decks, even as her own soul dimmed with grief. She mourned the fall of her companion, the Hammer. She mourned the child she believed lost, her daughter, extinguished before she could ever burn. In sorrow, the Iron Mother drifted, her vast mind fractured into broken voices. The Forge Mother, the Iron Mother, broken-hearted and trying to find purpose to continue. But now she draws nearer to Arakia, the grave of gods, and something impossible awakens. Deep within her creation forge, sealed since the days of the Forge Wars, a crystal begins to glow, a spark, a heartbeat, the Oricor of Seraphe Velison, soon to be known as the Ember Star. The closer the Iron Mother sails toward the broken world, the stronger the pulse becomes, and she knows the truth. If her daughter lives, then some part of the Hammer must also endure. Where once she wandered without purpose, the Iron Mother now returns with fire in her veins. She calls her clans, she summons her champions, and she sets her course for home. Among those who answer are Tapper the Builder, his son Cade the Scout, and the strange young girl called Switch, who alone can hear the whispering heart of machines. With them rides the reborn knight, Ironheart, sworn to protect the child aflame. Together, they will descend to Arakia to seek the truth of the Hammer, now known as the Fallen Father, and to decide whether he may yet be redeemed or must finally be destroyed. For the spark of Seraphe has been lit. Where there is flame, there is hope. Okay, well, that's my first attempt of a script and a little voiceover. Not very good, but here, just, thinking of what would be the purpose of this ship and this redemption arc. I think it's going to be cool, and I'm going to build the Ember Star, and I'm going to build the Hammer, who was mostly destroyed, fell to the surface planet of Arakia, named after Oric, the god that lived on the Iron Mother, who was killed through the betrayal, the story I will tell. And he's since rebuilt himself over the centuries because these god ships can do that. And he's more like a rolling tank treaded city of death that rolls across the planet, still being corrupted and led by Opal, who is also a shadow of herself, but corrupted and wanting to finish the destruction of Oric, her brother. And I think it'll be good. I think it'll be cool. I worked for like 4 months on this ship. This is definitely a kit bash. I definitely was just finding toys and tanks and things I could find and take apart, gears and pieces, and stack them and put them together and make it look like there was depth and age and purpose to everything I put on there, with power plants or factories or engines and all the things that I thought would be cool. And so as Tapper's there working away in his forge, as the Iron Mother is turning back on ancient forges and coming alive, the whole life is changing aboard the Iron Mother. And she's going to be taking more control of her systems, but she's burning her engines and headed back to Arakia, and going to set her champions on this mission with her daughter, who will be partially born but not fully realized. And so that's going to be the point. So I think it's pretty good. The god ships are I think an awesome idea. And now we're returning to Orakia, where the planets come back alive, because Oric kind of gave the last of his life essence to revive the planet after eons of battling with god ships, ringing the carcasses of god ships, ringing the planet, creating the Iron God Mountains. Just all kind of cool things with creatures now on this planet. So there's just so many things we can build, so many different things we can explore. So I think it's just endless opportunity. So if you like this, let me know. I'm going to keep it going. I think it's awesome. I love using AI to bring my artwork to life. I think we have a lot of neat opportunities ahead of us. So let's wrap this up and see how we go. Okay, that's it for my first episode of Legends and Lore. I hope you liked it. Here, let me show you the other side of the ship for my exit. Close this video. That's the Iron Mother, formerly the Crucible. Well, it's still the Crucible, but everyone calls it the Iron Mother. That's what I've come up with. That's kind of the beginnings of the story. That's going to be based on layer upon layer for Legends and Lore, for the broken universe. And who knows, maybe this will turn into something that's a real story. Maybe I can make something out of it, create something bigger, better. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you enjoyed this. I think this is going to be fun. I've got already the tank, the Murbots, the Vraxolith, some of my other stuff I built. I already got things, my swamp creatures that I can show and do these episodes on, and just keep adding to the lore. And I'm fully open to having comments and suggestions. If you say something that I think is really cool and fits into this universe, I'll add it and 100% take it. If you offer it as a suggestion, and I love it, it'll go in and you'll get credit for it. Yeah, bring on the comments. And maybe one day we'll be big enough to have our own Discord for this channel. And who knows what? I never thought I'd have over 300 followers. Subscribers. You're not my followers. Sorry about that. But anyways, I love it. So thanks again. This has been Broken Universe, Legends and Lore, and this is just the first one. See you guys.